You are getting ready to listen to the voice of Dr. Rhadi Ferguson, 2004 Olympian, four-time national judo champion, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, author, speaker, and coach.
Hey, what's going on? This is Dr. Rhadi Ferguson, and welcome to another edition of Coffee with Rhadi. This particular issue of Coffee with Rhadi has been brought to you by Circuit Training Made Easy. Circuit Training Made Easy is the number one workout that grapplers utilize in order to get in great shape and in order to do well on the mat. As a matter of fact, I've used this particular workout and variations of it to train the number 12 ranked UFC fighter in the world, Sadiq Youssef. I also utilize this particular workout and variations of it to train my son, Rufus Ferguson, who is currently ranked as the number 82 linebacker in the state of Florida, and my daughter, Rhadi Ferguson, who is ranked number 3 in the country right now in judo. I also use it foundationally to train my students inside of my dojo, as well as some of my personal clients. So just visit www.circuittrainingmadeeasy or send me a message or DM me on any one of the outlets of Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok today, and I will get back with you as soon as possible and give you the advice that you need. So here's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about what we call the shareables and wearables in the health and wellness space. I have an email list, and I promised the people on the email list that I would provide them this particular advice or the things that I do in terms of my health and wellness. And I've been a little bit behind with the Coffee with Rhadi issuances and my emails because we recently just came out of Hurricane Ian. The preparation and the changing of the schedules and appointments that you have professionally and personally, everything just kind of goes haywire. And it's been taking us some time to get our bearings together and our feet up under us, if you will. I thank God that I didn't have any major damage to my house. Just the back fence to my house was damaged. But some of the people in the area south of us in Naples, Punta Gorda, and Cape Coral really sustained significant damage to their personal property, their homes, and some individuals unfortunately had a loss of life. So if you have any time in your meditative life today to take some time to have a moment of silence or pray for those individuals that have been affected by Hurricane Ian, I hope that you do so, and I would plead on their behalf that you do so as well. So let me talk about the number one thing that I really enjoy in terms of the new wearable that I have. I've been really looking at maximizing my recovery and my sleep now that I'm 47 and I still enjoy working out, and I want to make sure that I had a way to monitor how I feel and not have it be just a qualitative quality, but a quantitative quality, so that I know that my training and my practices and my behavior is data driven. So I looked at a lot of things. I looked at the Apple Watch, which is a very good, I think it's a very good tool to use. I don't like the Apple Watch because I do not enjoy texts and emails and phone calls. I don't like all those things coming to my wrist. There are periods or points of time when I really want to disconnect from the grid, if you will, from the online grid, because I'm just online all the time, and I don't want to look down at my watch and see a bunch of things flashing and beeping and buzzing and things of that particular nature. So I use the device that is utilized by most of the players, most of the active players in the NFL. That's the National Football League. And it's called a Whoop. And the Whoop device was recommended to me by a friend and a colleague by the name of Christopher Round. Christopher came to the dojo this particular summer while we were preparing a lot of athletes for the U.S. Open, the Junior U.S. Open, and the USJA Grassroots Nationals. And he had this funny device on his bicep, around his tricep, wrapped around his arm. And I said, "Man, what's that?" He said, "It was the Whoop." Like, when you hear Whoop, you say, "What the hell is a Whoop?" So I pulled up the I pulled it up and did some research at home after he showed me all the things that the Whoop was able to do, and show him his recovery, his rest, his heart rate variability, his oxygen rate, his respiratory rate. It was also able to calculate how much he should push in a workout if you wanted to get to the point of overreaching, and if you wanted to get to the point of a good, what we call strain, is what the Whoop calls it. Now, I purchased the Whoop, and I can tell you right now that it has been a phenomenal device. It has changed the way that I rest. It has changed the way that I sleep. I've always known as a strength and conditioning professional that sleep is the number one workout, but I never prioritized sleep at that particular level. What I really enjoyed was looking up the data, the Whoop data from Patrick Mahomes online. Patrick Mahomes is a quarterback in the NFL for currently, I believe, the Kansas City Chiefs. And I can see the exact data, the exact strain, and the time at which he's straining during his games. I think his highest strain in a game was like 18 or 19 or something like that. And they calculated his heart rate when he broke for a long run at 191 beats per minute. And I'm also able to see his recovery, which I was able to share with my son, because my son was so impressed with the fact that NFL players have Whoops too, that he bought one. Now, if Daddy, who is a professional strength and conditioning coach and an Olympian, says get a Whoop, it has no effect on him. But if he sees that every active NFL player has a Whoop device, then that definitely will spur him towards getting one. And he has one which is on the way. And what he was able to see was Patrick Mahomes' sleep and recovery data. Patrick Mahomes is sleeping 8 to 14 hours a day. And the reason why he's doing that is because he's a professional athlete. And his recovery is around the 90 to 97% range. Now, let me tell you another reason why I like this. As I take a sip of my coffee, as you're enjoying Coffee with Rhadi. When training Sadiq Youssef for his recent UFC fight, which he won last night in 30 seconds, which was absolutely phenomenal, we used the Whoop device. And from what I got from my relationship with Chris Round, I understood that I can put Sadiq in a group with me, and I can monitor his sleep, monitor how hard he's working, monitor when we're overreaching, make sure we don't overtrain, monitor the recovery, because sleep and recovery is very different. Sleep is just part of the recovery process. And we can see exactly how hard we should push and how hard we shouldn't push. We paid attention to the perceptive quality of how Sadiq felt, but that was only one part of the information gathering process for how we proceeded in the next day of training. Sometimes when he said he didn't feel well, but the data said he did, man, we pushed. Sometimes when he said he didn't feel well, but the data said we didn't, we did not push. And the reason being is because you want to let the athlete know that his input is also respected in the process. But at the end of the day, all the training was data driven. We were able to input every boxing workout, every Muay Thai workout, every grappling workout, every jiu-jitsu workout, every nap, every long-term sleep, every activity was input in that device. That also let us know how many calories we were burning, and it also let us know how hard we needed to go at the end of the week. And we have a baseline of data for the next training camp that is provided with the Whoop data that we can export. It was absolutely fantastic. I could not recommend a better device for a professional or someone who wants to be a professional. Now, if you do not want to use the Whoop device, there's another app that you can use with the Apple Watch, which is called the Well-Tori app. I tested it. Okay. The reason why I tested it is because there's parts of it where it's free and there's parts of it where it's paid, but it's a very good app if you don't want to spend the money. The investment for the Whoop is, I think, $30 a month. To me, it is more than worth it. But if you don't want to make that investment and you already have an Apple Watch, you can use the Well-Tori app. You can have the paid version, or you can have the non-paid version. Now, I dig the Apple Watch where the differentiation between that and the Whoop is that with the Whoop device, I can charge the device while it is on my wrist. I don't have to take it off to charge it. When the battery for the Apple Watch goes down, you have to take it off to charge it. So there's a period of time when you're losing the acquisition of data because you don't have the watch on. Now, let's move on. After the Whoop device, I'm using something right now that is absolutely phenomenal. I'm going to probably do it for 3 to 6 months because I really wanted to see exactly what my glucose levels were. After listening to podcasts by Dr. Sinclair Skinner and by Dr. Huberman, the Huberman Lab podcast, which I would highly recommend, I wanted to know exactly what my glucose levels were. Because as you get older, your A1C gets a little bit higher. You have to change the way that you eat. You have to eat a little bit less meat because there are some, researched links between meat and type 2 diabetes, as well as, of course, sugar. And I wanted to see what my glucose levels were. I wanted to also see if I was susceptible to the dawn effect. And the dawn effect is the raising of glucose levels in the morning, which happens to people who are diabetic or pre-diabetic. And you cannot monitor the dawn effect unless you have a CGM, which is a constant glucose monitoring device. So I purchased a package from NutriSense, which is it's an online outlet where you can go and order the 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, or 12-month package where you're sent a constant glucose monitoring devices. I think you get sent 2 a month. That you wear them for 14 days, and you link them towards your app, and then you constantly scan your device. The beautiful thing is I get real-time data. So if I eat something, I can see exactly how I respond. The beautiful thing is all of my levels they're on point. And I would say the wonderful thing is that because it's constantly monitored, I am not eating a lot of sugar. I'm having sugar once every 10 days, meaning I'm not eating any fruit or anything like that. I eat foods that don't have any sugar in it. I'm looking for the maltodextrin. I'm looking for dextrose. I even changed my salt so that my salt I have non-iodized salt because iodized salt is bonded with a little bit of sugar. I'm just removing the sugar from my diet. The carbs that I have, they will become sugars. That's enough sugar for me, but I'm not having any added sugar, and I'm not doing any fruit either. I am just eating clean. Now, I do that for 10 days, and then on the 10th day, I have some sugar. The last time I had a good sugar hit was I had some Haagen-Dazs Swiss almond chocolate ice cream, and it was delectable. It was absolutely fantastic. But after 10 days of no sugar, it had almost no effect on my glucose levels. I think my levels spiked from 90 or 85 up to 120, and then within an hour they were back down to 80 to 90 range. So my glucose levels are anywhere between 60 and 100 just normally. And if I eat something, it spikes to about 120. I don't think I've gotten a level higher than 122, 123. But it's been absolutely fantastic because it has curbed my sugar intake greatly. I cannot recommend the NutriSense CGM monitoring system high enough because you have to know exactly where your levels are. If you are in the space or place where you can afford to get a CGM, I would highly recommend that you do it. When you do your blood work, once you have a CGM, you'll see that when you do your blood work, that glucose level isn't really that accurate. You need to have more data to see where your glucose levels are, 100%. And I can see where they are after I've fasted over the evening when I'm sleeping. I can get fasted glucose levels every day, and I can see where they are during the day as they go up and down and they undulate based upon the things that I take in. Now, the next thing that I would like to talk about, there's an app called the Calorie Counter app by Fat Secret. A lot of individuals use MyFitnessPal, which I can dig. The reason why I use the Calorie Counter by Fat Secret is because I use it with some of my health and wellness clients. I have a health and wellness company called Switch On that I run with my business partner, Arlo Henderson. You can find us at www.switchoncoach.com. And we use the Fat Secret app, and I use it too because it allows you to export the data at the end of the day. I don't have to take screenshots. I can export the food diary at the end of the day. I can export the food diary for the week. I can also choose what parts I want to export. I can export the fats, the carbs, the sodium, the calories. I can choose the things that I want to export. The Calorie Counter app by Fat Secret is, in my opinion, the industry's standard when it comes to monitoring intake and logging it. The Calorie Counter by Fat Secret is the best. Now, let me give you another wearable that I used that I do not use as much anymore. I can't even tell you where I put my Garmin watch. I had a Garmin Runner 405. I used to use a 305 back in the day, and I got a 405. The Garmin products. Let me say this. If you are running, okay, or you're training, or you're doing a marathon, half marathon, 5Ks, if you're a track athlete, the Garmin is the industry standard when it comes to running and biking, period. There is no beating the Garmin, all right? The Garmin tracks your workouts. It tracks calories, not as well as the Whoop. It's a great device. It will also track your sleep, but not as well as the Whoop. The problem that I had with the Garmin is the same problem that I had with the same problem that I see with the iPhone is that there's a period of time when the battery is going to run out and you have to take it off in order to charge it. And during that time, you cannot acquire your data. I don't want any lapses in data acquisition. And I don't like knowing the time all the time. I'll just be honest with you. The Whoop doesn't have any face on it. It has nothing on it. I run my time. I look at my time on my phone. I look at my time on my clock. I don't want to constantly look down at my wrist for the time. I just don't want to do that. I want to be mindful of the time. I want to be on time, but I don't want my life run by a device on my wrist in terms of time. And I say that tongue-in-cheek because the Whoop does run my life some, but it runs it in terms of health and lifestyle management. The Garmin is a great device. There are various versions of the Garmin watch. The high-end watch, I don't know the name of it. I think it's called the Venu, but it's the highest end watch. It does almost everything that the Whoop does, and it tracks running, walking, steps, etc., those particular things. But it has the same issue that the iPhone watch, Apple Watch has. We have to take it off to charge it. I enjoy the Whoop. I want something that does one thing very well and is the best at what it does, and that's why I use the Whoop. The next thing, what is the other thing? I know I have one more thing that I wanted to tell you all about. That was really life-changing for me. It is a wearable. Give me one moment so I can check my notes. Okay, this is the other thing I had to talk about, and I can end with this. I did not realize that there's a researched concomitant relationship between, well, I would say among, I remember when I was growing up, my mom always used to tell me she's an attorney, she's a wordsmith. When it's more than two things, it's among, and when it's two things, it's between. So there's a concomitant relationship among these three things. heart disease or hypertension, type 2 diabetes, and dementia. And all these things are related to the brain and the ability to get oxygen to the brain and to oxygenate the brain. What I didn't recognize and I didn't know is that I have sleep apnea. And I ended up getting a CPAP machine. I was able to, since having my CPAP machine, I've been able to, with my Whoop data, I can look at my device. I can look at the data from my device on my phone. I can see clearly the wake events. That's what they call them. Wake events that I have when I don't use my CPAP machine, and the wake events when I do use my CPAP machine. I can also see the quality and the efficiency of sleep, which is in the 90 percentile and higher when I use my machine, almost 100 at times, and which is in the 70s and 80s when I do not use my machine. I didn't realize that I was oxygen compromised. And the reason why I was so tired and the reason why my hypertension at the time was high, even when I was medicated, and the reason why I wanted to eat snacks and eat sweets all the time, because I was looking for some more energy that I wasn't getting because my sleep was compromised. So the other wearable device, and there is a level of, if you're with somebody, if you have a partner, or if you're dating, there's a level of shame that you have when you initially get that CPAP device, but you can't help it. You either snore or you don't snore, and you could be big, small, skinny, or tall. And if you have sleep apnea, you have sleep apnea. I'm obese by definition in terms of the BMI. If you saw me, I don't think you would consider me to be fat, but I am obese. I'm 5'8", 5 feet 8. And I'm 200 and I float between 245 and 252. I can knock out, 5 sets of 20 of, dumbbell presses with 80 pounds with no problem, and with a little bit of problem. I get a little stressed towards the end, but I'm in pretty decent shape. I get on my Rogue Echo bike and I do my Tabatas and I work out, and I still get on the mat every now and then, which is reducing a whole lot now that I'm a little bit older. But I still work out, I still train, but I have sleep apnea. And the one thing and the one wearable that has really helped me this year, and I'm really thankful to, I have a sleep coach. The name of my sleep coach is Herman Dorsett. He's out of Miami, Florida, and he's been phenomenal with helping me with my sleep, helping me improve my sleep, and with my sleep data. I can tell you that it is by far the best wearable that I have and that I utilize, because it actually drives the data on everything else. If you're tired or your sleep is compromised, you make bad decisions during the day with the amount of caffeine that you have, with the amount of sugar that you have, and the amount of calories that you intake. If your sleep is compromised, you make poor decisions about how hard you can push yourself in the gym. If your sleep is compromised, the data from the Whoop will let you know that your recovery has been compromised. And if recovery is compromised, the data from the Whoop will also let you know you should not work out as hard, because you'll go from the point of overreaching to the point of overtraining. And even as a layperson, you can overtrain and you can strain yourself too much. So with that being said, one, please go get regular checkups at the doctor. I know I go more, and I couldn't understand when my mom and dad were telling me, when you get older, she said, it just seems like your month is filled with doctor's appointments, because my parents are always going to the doctor. They're going to the doctor for one thing or another. But I understand why they're going to the doctor now, because I'm going to the doctor more. I go to the doctor for my heart. I go to the doctor for my eyes. I go to the doctor for my foot. I go to the doctor for a lot of stuff. If I hurt something, I'm just constantly going to the doctor, because as you get older, the parts need more maintenance because the parts are wearing out. When you're 11, 12 years old, you don't need to go to the doctor that much. When you hit your 40s, 50s, and 60s, you need to go to the doctor. You have more appointments. You got more things you have to check up on. One of the least exciting things that I had to do in my life this year was a colonoscopy. It was one of the worst experiences of my life ever. I thank God that I was able to do it. I thank God that I had insurance. I thank God that I did the exam. But the colonoscopy prep had to be one of the worst experiences of my life. That being said, please, men, please go to your urologist. Everybody, please go get your colonoscopy. Everybody, please check in with your doctor. And everyone, when we have access to not just health care, but a better way to take care of our health, let's go ahead and access it. If you have the means to get a constant glucose monitoring system, I would advise you to get one for 3 months, just to see where your levels are. Then you have that data, and you can go into your doctor's office with that data. If you have the ability to get a Whoop device, I would highly recommend the device, just for the sole purpose of being able to improve your sleep. If your loved one or significant other tells you that you snore, man, go get a sleep coach, go take a sleep test, and get a CPAP machine, because you'll be amazed how good sleep can actually change your life. Take care. This is Dr. Ferguson. Have a super fantastic day. Remember, I love you, but God loves you best. And please remember that this particular Coffee with Rhadi episode was brought to you by www.circuittrainingmadeeasy.com, which is the #1 resource online for grapplers to get in great shape and great health today. Take care.
You are getting ready to listen to the voice of Dr. Rhadi Ferguson, 2004 Olympian, 4-time national judo champion, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, author, speaker, and coach.